about the events itself. I'll do the best I can. Some things I'm not going to be able to answer until race day itself. Again, so here's everything you need to know. So check it out on the website, all the communications. Definitely know where that is. All right. So let's talk about the email I just sent out to you. So I'm not going to read it to you, but I want to add some commentary, some important things that may not stick out to you. First of which is make sure you check out the team list. If you have any team number changes over the next week, please let me know. This is particularly important for numbers of boats that we have to get from our outfitter. So for example, if you were to drop from a team of two who would normally be in a canoe to a soloist who would be in a kayak, that's really important for me to know to make sure we have the right number of boats provided for you all. Schedule. So the race is Sunday the 28th at Fountainhead. There are two races going on at the same time. So there's an 8-hour race and a 4-hour race. The 8-hour race starts at 9 and the 4-hour race starts at 10. Uh, those are important times, but more important than that is when to get there. Okay. So if you are doing the 8-hour race, check in for your 8-hour race starts at 6:30 in the morning. It is going to be dark or nearly dark at 6:30. So be careful coming to the park and also bring a headlamp with you. It's going to be really hard to read maps and do some map work until the sun comes up. Sunrise technically is around 7 o'clock that morning. It'll get it'll get light pretty quickly, but just be aware that if you show up at 6:30, it's going to be dark. Okay, so take that into planning. The 4-hour race, again, your check-in time starts at 7:30. So check-in means check in, get your race bibs, and also get your maps. So again, if you're doing the 8-hour race, your check-in starts at 6:30 in the morning. If you're doing the 4-hour race, your race check-in is going to be at 7:30. That's just to stagger when people are arriving. It's a good idea to get there early. It gives you plenty of time to put your bike in the transition area, review all the information, and you don't want to feel rushed. So my recommendation is get there as early as you can. All right, Fountainhead. So Fountainhead is in southern Fairfax County in Fairfax Station. We park mainly in the main mountain bike parking lot, which is here. The main TA, where your bikes are going to go initially, is on this side of the parking lot, on the west side of the parking lot. There'll be bike racks there and some sort of EX2 branded fencing just to keep things organized. And then check-in is in the southeastern bottom corner of the main parking lot. So that's where you'll see our check-in tents. That's where you get all your information. That's where you pick up your maps. The start of the race is going to be on the northern part of the parking lot. Now, it's not a huge parking lot. It's really not hard to know where everything is, but just know like check-in is in the bottom corner. The TA is on the left side if you're looking at it from above, and then the start is up here on the top. We park in the parking lot. We also park in some field. We park on the side of the road. That's another reason to get there early, just to make sure you have plenty of time to park and get yourself organized. Porta-johns. Porta-johns will be right next to check-in. And so we'll have enough for everybody to use before the race starts. All right. Let's see. I already talked about check-in for 8 hours starts at 6:30. Check-in for the 4 hours at 7:30. Again, that's super important. Remember that it could be dark when you get there, so plan accordingly. Uh, race bibs. You'll have a bib to put on your bicycle on the front, and we'll give you twist ties to do it. And then we'll have one to put on your backpack somewhere. Not critically important, that one. It's really important that it's on your mountain bike, just so we can identify any mountain bikers that are doing the race. The backpack one, I give you safety pins. You can find a place that it's not in the way. Maps. So you will get two maps. You will have one 11 by 17, 1 to 15,000 scale topographic map that's made by our friends Red Arrow Maps and Quantico Orienteering Club, and then one 8 by 11 supplemental map. All the checkpoints are pre-plotted, which means you don't have to put anything on the map. All the checkpoint locations are there. And the main orienteering map is adjusted for magnetic declination, which means it just points to magnetic north. So you don't have to worry about adjusting your compass or anything to if you're shooting a bearing or something like that. If you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. Um, I print the maps on a type of paper called Write in the Rain paper. It's not indestructible, but it's pretty beefy. It is water resistant, and it should not disintegrate in 4 or 8 hours. I will give you a map bag as well to have. If you're welcome to bring your own map case or whatever works for you. But just know the maps are pretty durable. The rules of travel will be printed on that paper as well. And then I'll have that plastic map bag just to make sure everything stays nice and put together. Let's see. Bike staging transition area, I talked about that. That's just going to be on the western side of the parking lot. We'll have some bike racks. You're welcome to put stuff there. So if you want to have extra water or snacks or whatever, you won't know when you're going back there until you see your maps and your rules of travel. Um, there is a good likelihood that you will be back there at some point during the race. And so a good assumption is putting stuff there wouldn't be a bad idea, maybe, or at least having it there. Just don't bring like the ginormous like Yeti cooler and like 6 pairs of clothes, and you don't need all that stuff. So just kind of be conscious of your other competitors. About 10 minutes before your race starts, I'll bring everybody over to the north side of that parking lot, answer any last minute questions, and get you going off um, right at your race time. One thing I didn't mention is about an hour before your race time, we do a race briefing. So that's at 8 o'clock for the 8 hour race and about 9:15 for the 4 hour race. Um, you will have seen your maps and your rules of travel at that point. So the whole point of that meeting is really if anybody has any specific questions that aren't addressed in the rules or on the maps, or if anything weird has happened that I need to maybe make you aware of, that's the opportunity to do that. My intent in those rules and that map is that they are as complete as possible. So if you read the rules of travel, it's going to tell you specifically what you can and can't do in the race. Okay, so that is particularly important that you take the time and a tip I would say when you first get your map and get your rules, before you start diving in and looking at your routes and things like that or trying to make decisions, I highly recommend that you read the whole rules of travel in its entirety from start to finish to give you an idea of like the big picture of the race. And then you can dive in more detail to the different legs of the race. Um, I got a couple of questions. Um, awesome. Picnic family will be there. I'll put out a roster of 4 versus 8. I will definitely do that. And then I am going to post the recording of the call. All right. Again, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. All right, let's see. Restart, did that. All right, I'm gonna skip over the course description because I want to talk about that a little bit differently. All right, one thing that's different in the last couple years is um, the point system. Some points are going to be worth 1, some points are going to be worth 2. So as you think about your strategy, please keep that in mind of which points you're going to try to go after. There are very few mandatory checkpoints. That's part of my style when I design courses, as I don't like mandatory checkpoints. I'd like to give you as many options as possible. The only really reason I have mandatory checkpoints is to maintain the integrity of the course, meaning I want you to do this particular leg just to maintain the flow of where I want you to go generally. But very, very few mandatory checkpoints. There are no mandatory checkpoints on the bicycle in the 4 hour event. And I'll talk more about that in just a minute. Time cutoffs. This is a 4 hour race and an 8 hour race. Don't be late. You don't want to start losing points after you work so hard the last couple hours to do that. At the checkpoint, there's going to be an electronic timing box. Everybody's going to get an e-punch, which is these things. They're really simple to use if you've never done it before, but that's how we keep track, and we have a timestamp of all the checkpoints that you visit. Hydration and nutrition. You're responsible for your hydration and nutrition. So make sure you plan accordingly. I am going to have some water, Gatorade, and snacks at least in one location on the course, possibly 2. Um, I'll leave it at that. It'll tell you where they're going to be in the rules of travel. But I will tell you plan on several hours being out without going through an aid station, right? So you have to be self-sufficient in terms of food and something to drink. Uh, gear. Gear is super simple. I tried to keep it to the bare minimum for this event. We are not out in the crazy wilderness. You know, it seems pretty remote at times, but we are basically in a pretty major metropolitan area. The most important things that I am going to be a stickler that everybody has. Everybody's going to have a watch. You have to know what time it is for obvious reasons, and you have to have a working cell phone that's off and stored in your backpack. Um, that is for safety, right? And I'm going to be a stickler, so everybody's got to have a phone turned off, protected appropriately, and then have to have some way to tell time. The gear list is on the website, and it's really bare minimum. I don't make you carry extra clothes or whatever that. Depending on what the weather looks like on race day, I may put out some recommendations and things like that. The long-term forecast looks pretty comfy in 70s on race day, but we'll see how it plans out. Boats, paddles, PFDs. We provide all the boats. We provide you paddles and life jackets. This is important. If you uh, carry your own, you can welcome to bring your own paddles and your own PFD. In this race, you will be carrying them miles, not feet. So you have to, if you're going to do that, you just totally can. And you may decide when you look at the maps, the rules of travel, that's worth it to have your own paddles or your whatever. However, we are not transporting the paddles anywhere. So you are going to, wherever you have to move them to the start of the paddle and the end of the paddle, you are responsible for carrying them. Okay. Do not leave them with us. Okay. So that's super important. That's different than we've done in years past. We're gonna have lots of good food afterwards. The awards are about a half hour or so after the cutoff. And we'll have lots of good stuff from Joey Bayard and Eric and Sheehy and take beer from Athletic Brewing. No, it's really good. Okay. All right. That's all I wanted to cover in terms of the logistics stuff. I'm going to talk about the courses next. Let me just take a quick look at the chat. Let's see. Let's see. Social endurance. Someone who hasn't done orienteering is. Tyler, go for it, man. Tyler asked, is it okay to jump right into the 8-hour race? Yes, go for it. If you feel good endurance-wise, give it a shot. You might not find some points, but that's okay. Just go for it. I would recommend that. I never move your bikes, Rob. They don't remain in the TA, but you move them around. But we do not move them. You're going to be riding them. Dan, can a cell phone qualify also as a mandatory watch? No, because your cell phone is going to be off and stored in your backpack. It's only for emergencies. So you do have to have some other way to tell time. Selena says, can we take pictures with our phones or should we bring a camera? My preference is you have a different way to take pictures. That's my preference. Especially in Fountainhead, the cell phone coverage is so good. You could literally pull up a map and know exactly where you are. Not that you do that, but so I prefer that you keep that phone and keep it powered up for emergencies if you need it. Okay. Let's see. All right. Now I want to talk about the course. So I sent this out in that email. It's not the information you want. It only tells you very, very little about the course, but it gives you something. So in the 4-hour course, the race is going to start on foot. Both races are going to start on foot. So you're going to trek, and then you're going to do a paddle, and then you're going to trek again, and then you're going to ride your bicycle, and then you trek again, and then you're going to finish. What this doesn't tell you is where you're going. It also doesn't tell you if you start and finish at different places, as if it's like a hub and spoke type race, or you're kind of going out and not coming back. I'm not going to give you that information. It's, Fountainhead is not that big of a place. But my intent was to make it as interesting and logistically viable as possible. So the The course is designed to give you an adventure and take you someplace and have you come back. And You will be out and about for a while in both races. Total distance, I didn't do the math right. 7 plus 7 plus 2 is 16. So about 16-ish miles. But the total distance can vary wildly based on how many points you get. There are 27 total checkpoints in the 4-hour race and lots of significant ways to get to those checkpoints. So the distance could be a little bit less, could be more. That's going to vary based on the teams. Biking. So there are no mandatory checkpoints on the biking section, which means it's completely optional. You can skip it. I did that because the biking can be hard at Fountainhead for beginners, and I wanted to give you an opportunity to come and do the race, even if you weren't a great biker or you don't even have a bike. Um, it's going to say this in the rules of travel, but basically, um, you're going to come into a transition area and either go out on the bike or tell us we're not doing the biking section. And if you tell us we're not doing the biking section, you can't decide 20 minutes later that you want to do the biking section. So once you decide you're not going to do it, you're not going to do it. Okay, so that'll be in the rules of travel, but that's an important piece to know going into the event. The other thing to know about the 4-hour and the 8-hour is that the course is on the long side. My intent with that is I want to give lots of opportunities to do different things, irrespective of whether you mountain bike or not. So that's part of why it's on the long side. So if you skip the whole mountain biking section, there's plenty to keep you occupied. Not at the um, disadvantage of people who do the mountain biking. One of the ways I'm doing that is with the 1 versus 2 points, right? If you do the mountain biking, you can get way more points than people who don't do the mountain biking. Okay, so that if you are a mountain biker, don't feel like you're going to get a short end of the stick from a point perspective if compared to somebody else who skips it. However, it's long and there is some surprises in there. So make sure you are thinking strategically and creatively about which points that you want to get. If you are a strong mountain biker, you'd be like, hey, I want to try to get all the mountain bike points. If you are not a strong mountain biker and you want to maybe only get a couple and move on to a different part of the race because there's something else kind of interest that maybe has a high point value, you should be aware enough when you're going through the rules of travel on the map to make those decisions. Very few teams, probably if any, are going to clear the entire course. Okay, so this is not a race where everybody's going to go out and clear the whole thing. I want you on the course doing as much as you can and having as much fun as you can over that 4-hour period. All right. Let me check the questions. Gray, is the course open to mountain bikers? Hikers, yes. Mountain bikers, no. So it's a big park to kind of keep all the hikers out, but we are going to keep the mountain biking closed during the event. Dan has a question about paddles, and types of boats. Kayaks or sit-in kayaks for soloists. Kayaks do have lower back braces. Yes, they do. They're not like crazy awesome boats, but they're totally fine. They're great. All right, 8-hour course. So 8-hour course total distance is over 35 miles. 15 miles of trekking, 15 mile-ish of mountain biking, and about 6 miles of paddling. 41 checkpoints, lots of different route options. Distances are going to be all over the place depending on how you get to those checkpoints and which checkpoints you want to do. Same thing on the 4-hour course. It's long. So same thing I said, if you're not a great mountain biker, you can still have a very successful race by being smart about maybe what points you go and get and how you spend that other time out in the course. The flow of the 8-hour course is pretty straightforward, at least in this view. It starts on foot again as a trek, and then you ride your bicycle, and then you transition to a trek and a paddle, and then you trek again. Um, I wrote in there kind of like a little snarky, sounds simple, right? It's not as simple as that. It's fun. So there's going to be some surprises and some decisions that you're going to have to make, um, both about where you go and the mode of transportation and how you get there. But that'll be really obvious when you see the maps and the rules, and you'll get sort of the decisions that I'm trying to force you to make will be fairly obvious once you see the maps and things like that. What's not obvious is what you choose to do about it, right? And that's going to be really interesting to see what the different teams do. Another question, Dan, is the paddling on still or moving water? It's flat water. It's not moving water, unless it's really windy that day. But no, it's flat water. Okay. Um, so that's the meat of what I wanted to cover for logistics, of what I think is really important, and then talking about the courses. I do have people pre-running the courses over the next few days. I have a fairly beginner adventure racer doing the 4-hour course, and I have a much more experienced adventure racer running the entire 8-hour course. My intent is not to I don't see any major wholesale changes or whatever, but based on their experience running the course, I may have some additional notes that I'll send out to everybody based on their feedback of the course itself. I would anticipate those being delivered out, if there are any, early next week. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Like logistically about gear, about what to bring, what not to bring? Anybody super concerned about anything you want to chit chat about? Okay, if you do, think about it and put it in the chat. I want to talk about a couple other things. So again, on the website, all the way at the bottom, if you're new or you're interested in kind of what my style of rules of travel might look like and what the maps might look like, definitely take a look at these. The types of things that you're seeing here as samples are what you're going to see on race day. So that'll give you a great indication of what the rules are going to look like, how I structure them, what the maps are going to look like. Now, you're not going to see all these type of things because there's several different types of maps here. But especially the rules, it's worth looking at like one of the samples that's for a race with us before, and just to give you an idea of what it might look like. All right, let's see. All right, USARA. So I want to give a plug to U.S. Adventure Racing Association. There is a great uh, section on new to adventure racing. So you should check that out. And it's got lots of different question and answers and blog articles and stuff. Um, Everybody has to have at least a 1-day membership to USARA. I would encourage you, if you got a 1 day, but maybe you're going to do more races, then you should maybe look into getting a year-long membership. There's some great benefits to that. USARA is a wonderful organization, and I'm saying that not just because I'm a board member, but they're doing wonderful, wonderful work to grow and develop the sport of adventure racing. And other thing to know is there's a great event calendar on the USARA website. And so if you're looking for other races around the area, it's a great places to go and check it out. You're also welcome to email me or text me or call me and ask me if I have recommendations on other races to do in the area. I'll happily give you my opinion. All right. Then QOC. So QOC is Quantico Orienteering Club. It is an outstanding organization. If you've never done a QOC meet, I would highly recommend it. It's super fun. It's very affordable. It's really family friendly. And it's a great place to start if you've never orienteered before. This is where I learned to read a map for the first time. And it is incredibly, incredibly valuable. It is incredibly welcoming. And they offer courses from the very, very basic all the way up to advanced. And so I would highly recommend you check it out. There is a meet this Sunday at Occoquan Regional Park, which is just down the road from Fountainhead. I will tell you that it's pre-registration only. So registration is open now, and I believe it closes, I want to say maybe Friday or Saturday, I forget. Saturday at noon. Don't wait until the last minute if you're going to sign up and want to come do an orienteering meet. You should check it out. Plug for QOC. Let's see. All right, let me check the course or the chat. Is the race rain or shine? Yes, the race is rain or shine. However, the mountain biking may be modified or canceled in a lot of rain. I've accounted for that in the course design. if we have to cancel the mountain biking, I will let you know as early as possible. But Fountainhead is pretty sensitive to rain and being wet. But we are going to have the race, rain or shine, short of like if a major hurricane comes or something. But plan on racing. I will let you know if the mountain biking is impacted. There will be plenty to do if the mountain biking is canceled. Just let you know. Aaron says, is there a prologue? The prologue is really incorporated into the first leg of the race, Aaron. So very, very brief kind of one, just to kind of space you out a little bit. But really, the way I've designed the first leg of the race, particularly in both events, but really even more so in the 8-hour race, it's really designed to separate teams fairly quickly. Greg, for 8-hour race, could we ride clipless and have the shoes and the bike, I'm assuming, or swap shoes in the TA? In this year's version of the race, you will not have to carry your running shoes with you on the bicycle. So it'll be pretty much biking only. Now you may choose to get off your bike and walk and whatever, but you are not, I will tell you that you are not going to have to carry your running shoes if you do have clipless shoes in your backpack. 8-hour mountain bike is the degree of difficulty based on technical terrain, rocks, roofs, elevation, a little bit of both. So Fountainhead is a doable mountain bike venue. It is hard for beginners, for sure. And it's hard for two reasons. One, there's lots of rocks and roots. It does have some drops and some features, but those are all really easily avoidable. What makes it hard is mostly the rocks and roots. Not everywhere, but some places in Fountainhead. And it tends to be steep, not long extended climbs, but kind of punchy, up and down. Rarely are you going flat at Fountainhead. Fountainhead was the first place I rode my mountain bike a long time ago, and I survived it, and I had no clue what I was doing. I might have fell over like flat because I couldn't clip out of my pedals, but if you take your time and you're careful, the mountain biking is fine, even if you're walking some of it. If you're careful, you also can remember not get all the mountain biking points. If you get into it and you're like, oh my God, this is way over my head, I don't feel comfortable, then cut it short. And there are very specific and obvious ways to cut the mountain biking short if you choose to do so. Uh, Thank you, Matt Wilson. Um, I think, let's see, I think that's it. I want to make one more plug. If you have any more questions, put them in chat. But I want to share with you some 5 tips on how to become a better adventure racer. I wrote these down recently and I thought, I was like, oh, that's 5. That's a nice ring to it. Racing is the best way to get better. So I'm thrilled that you're coming to do VentureQuest. I would encourage you to do other people's races. There are lots of great races in the Mid-Atlantic and up and down the East Coast. The best way to get better at adventure racing is to do races because they're all different. Race directors have a different sort of way of thinking and a different design strategy, and that makes it super fun and really interesting and a great way to get better. Practice and get fit and just do things. So ride your mountain bike, paddle. I hate to paddle. I don't paddle very much, but just paddle. Go out and foot, run, walk, trek, whatever. Do orienteering meets. Do all those things are going to make you a better adventure racer. Get comfortable becoming uncomfortable or being uncomfortable. The best way to do that is to train consistently because not every day is 70 degrees and sunny, and to race. Because when you do races, it's not always 70 degrees and sunny. That is the best way to learn what gear works for you. It is the best way to learn how to take care of yourself when the conditions aren't perfect. There's no better way to do that than to train consistently and to race. Learn to navigate, even a little. Even if you're not a navigator on your team, the more people who know the basics of land navigation techniques and what a map is and what it isn't, the better. And Quantico Orienteering Club is this amazing resource that we have in our backyard with like no barriers to entry, really. You should check it out. And again, just learn to navigate. Last one, long term. I think one of the reasons that I've had success in adventure racing and other people who have been racing for a while have success is they race with different people. So as you're thinking about, what your racing career might look like if you really like adventure racing, I would encourage you, um, sort of organically to take opportunities to get involved and meet new people and race with different teams if those situations present itself. Every time I've raced with somebody new, um, I learned something, and it's incredibly valuable. And you learn about what teammates sort of are, and you respond as a teammate. So I would definitely make a plug for that. All right, let's see. I got a couple more questions. Okay. Greg, recommendations on total volume of hydration to carry. So I would, if you have 2 liters of water, that's plenty because you can I would say you can refill if you need to. In 8 hours, Greg, you probably will. But you don't have to carry like I don't think even like 100 ounces of 3 liters of water might even be too much. You might have a water bottle or something on your bike plus a camelback. Um, but assuming like 2 liters of water can get you several hours, that should be okay. I would carry more than a water bottle worth of water. I'll put it that way. Because you're going to be out and about, and I don't know what the weather's going to be, but you might be out for several hours, and that's probably not going to cut it. Dan has a great question. Are there any restrictions against bike whacking on the mountain bike course? Um, I will address that specifically in the rules of travel. Um, there are ways to cut the mountain biking short. Um, And if you can bike whack, I will specifically tell you that in that particular section. If you cannot bike whack, I will tell you that as well. So in the rules, it's going to say, bike here to here, stay on the trail, for example. Or it's going to say, stay on the trail except in these circumstances or from this section to this section. Um, Hopefully that makes sense. It'll be clear when. All right. Sorry, everybody. I don't know what happened. The screen went off, and I thought one of my kids went and pulled the internet cable out. All right, but I think we're back. All right, let me pull up in chat. Give me 1 second. Okay. So I answered Dan's question about the bike whacking. Mark has a good question. So if the goal is just to have it fun, what's your advice? That's code for I don't know navigation. So I would say, 2 things, maybe 3 things. First thing is don't be overwhelmed when you read the rules and you look at your map. Just take it step by step and don't be like, oh my goodness, I'm never going to be able to do all this, or just say, hey, I'm going to look at it and I'm going to do the best I can. Second thing is look carefully if there's points where you think might be too hard for you to do, and skip them, right? I told you that most people aren't going to clear the course, and so you could do very, very well in the race and miss a whole bunch of points. And so do you and focus on what you think you can do. Um, that's what I would do. So try not to be overwhelmed when you first start and just take it section by section. All right. Other questions? Um, I think that's it. I am thrilled that everybody's joining you. It's going to be super fun. Fountainhead is a great place with some great orienteering, some great mountain biking. The paddling is beautiful. I think everybody's going to have a great time. If you have any questions or think of anything coming up, please feel free to get in touch with me. Um, all thrust, no vector. There you go. Um, I'm thrilled. You guys are going to have a blast, and I'm glad you're joining us. And if you have any questions over the next week or whatever, please just get in touch. I'll be happy to answer your questions. And I will see you on the 28th at Fountainhead. All right. Take care, everybody. We'll see you. Bye.